Men of Reddit, who are your female heroes? Pretended to be Xena all the time as a kid. Simone Giertz. Her mentality around building Thai things intentionally to make it okay to not always succeed helped me with similar performance anxiety. She's also a very good person. The manager I had when I volunteered in a charity shop. I was in a very bad place in my life. And she helped to coax me out of my shell. And build my confidence. And she told customers who were rude to me to off. I'm a little person. So I tend to attract jerks. She was so classy while not taking anyone's. And she was unflappable in any situation. I aspire to be like her one day. Marie Curie took one for the team. Mary Shelley. She was the daughter of two very famous authors. Married an even more famous poet. And most of her circle was comprised of famous, male, writers like Lord Byron and Leigh Hunt. Despite this, she still held her own and wrote a world-renowned work of literature that is arguably far more influential than anything Percy or Lord Byron. The only people who read Byron or Percy Shelley in their entirety are academics like me. But everyone has heard of Frankenstein. Debbie Ryn Harvey of La Porte, Texas. She's a retired Southwest Airlines captain. Longest running member of the US aerobatic team. Has competed in 15 world championships and is on the board of directors of the International Aerobatics Club. She's also been inducted into multiple aviation halls of fame. More importantly, as an FAA designated examiner, she tested me and granted my private pilot's license. She's accomplished, smart as all get out, and an all-around great person. Sophie Scholl. Active member of a non-violent resistance group against Nazi Germany. If I remember correctly, she was executed for distributing pamphlets promoting her cause. She stood up for others even in the face of death. I deeply admire that. Edit. Thanks to everyone who shared more about her and her impact in the comments. And thanks for the awards. Hobby musician here. Billie Holiday. Ella Fitzgerald. Nina Simone. Judy Garland. Mary Travers. Gloria Gaynor. Janis Joplin. Hedy Lamarr. Actress who also invented a frequency hopping spread spectrum communication for torpedo guidance. Grace Hopper. Nina Simone. Dr. Jessica Swiss. Her daughter Leela. Shirley Muldowney. Jackie Joyner Kersey. Carol Kay. On and on like that. Harriet Tubman. Yelena Malyutina. World War II Soviet bomber pilot who was hit by shrapnel and still finished the mission and managed to land the bomber and then going under stomach surgery. You can listen to her story on BBC World War II Witness podcast. Emmy Noether. Absolutely the most significant mathematical physics result of all time. For those who don't know, she proved that symmetries in a system directly mean a derivable conservation law. Conservation of linear momentum? That's a direct result of here being the same as there. Conservation of angular momentum? That's a direct result of facing this way being the same as facing that way. Conservation of energy? That's a result of this moment in time being the same as that moment in time. Absolutely beautiful and brilliant result. Sabine Schmitz. R.I.P.U. Absolute legend. Edit. Thank you for my first awards. It's a shame it's about such a sad loss, but reading the comments just shows how much she impacted the world in a positive way. She was brilliant in every sense. Rosalind Franklin. Carol Kay and Carole King. Great musicians. The Night Witches of the 588th Night Bomber Regiment. Absolutely badass. Because they were undetected. Grace Hopper. Also Ada Lovelace. My mother taught me to give it your all no matter what the circumstances. My grandmothers taught me that service is the greatest form of love and honor. My sister taught me how to treat other people the best, even if they don't always deserve it. My first boss taught me that true leadership means taking the first step. My wife taught me that hope is never in vain. My daughter teaches me life is full of joy if you know where to look. Lucille Ball didn't take no in. Did she? She did it all at a time when women weren't allowed to do any of it. And she just said oh. Is that right? Dot. So anyway. Shirley Chisholm. Eleanor Roosevelt is one. She championed human rights and anti-poverty programs. Yousafzai Malala had more courage than all the men in her village put together. As a child she stood up to the Taliban, looked one of their members straight in the eye and told them they can write off if they think they can stop women from getting an education. She took an AK-47 round to the face for it and still continues her fight today. That same year Caitlyn Jenner was voted Woman of the Year, which still s me off. Amelia Earhart, Jane Goodall, Gian Fossey, Dolly Parton, Joan Jett. As cliche as this is, my mother, single mom raising 2 kids, my older siblings, with no degree and living off food stamps, worked her ass off to support my older siblings, both of which earned master's degrees, continued to support myself and my younger brother who are both in college currently, taught herself how to be successful in real estate and now owns her own business. Statistically, my siblings and I should not be as privileged as we are today. Yoko Shimomura. The woman is a genius composer who perhaps doesn't get the recognition she's earned because most of her work is for video games such as Kingdom Hearts, Mario plus Luigi and Final Fantasy. I will spend my life studying her work, hoping to preserve even a portion of her style in my own art. If you haven't heard her work, please do yourself a favor. Look her up. Dolly Parton. A class act with so much talent and a heart of gold. I will always be in awe of Dolly. My aunt is a Supreme Court judge in a Middle Eastern country. Jeanne d'Arc. She carried the French army on her massive shoulders to take back the kingdom and take Orleans back from the Englishmen. Hypatia of Alexandria for her advancement of logic, mathematics and philosophy. Ada Lovelace who saw the future and took action to advance it while others were fascinated with adding machines. She saw the general purpose computer. Hedy Lamarr for her contributions during World War II that lead to the development of secure wireless communication including Wi-Fi. Cynthia First for her contribution to the Open Textbook Initiative in electrical engineering. Lima Fried for her contributions to education and her company Adafruit Industries. Ripley from Alien Aliens. A believable character who acts like a regular person, not full of BS Hollywood bravado. When everyone else who are louder and more badass get taken out and she is the only capable person left, she rises to the occasion and finds a way to prevail. Emma Goldman was a straight up G. Audrey Hepburn. My big sis. I was very depressed at grade 10. Considered self-harm, suicide and all. Grade 11 spices things up with me transferring class. I'm decent at English and was usually the teacher's pet. Well, my sis is sick of it and on one time I go up. She yelled go back and let others have a chance. Somehow that was the spark that lighted up a friendship that is still lasting till now. I was quite lonely. And she literally was the only friend I have IRL. We have ups and downs. But nonetheless she treated me like her little brother despite her being 2/3 the size of me. I can use her lap as pillow. And she would head pat me like an animes and all. Some people called me girly and why would you let a girl control you like that? Heck. She saved my damn life. Amanda Nunes and Rose Namajunas who are both top class fighters in the UFC. For Amanda, she's just a lying beast who rules 2 divisions like it's a piece of cake. And is probably the best female athlete of all time, arguably over Serena Williams even. Her wife, who is also a UFC fighter, recently had a baby. And in the behind the scenes of Amanda's title defense fight, they were showing how she would train with her baby around. And you already know that kid is going to have a killer work ethic. I find the whole thing super wholesome. As for Rose, I've been on her team ever since she fought Paige Van Zandt. The UFC was marketing their fight as a Barbie v Barbie fight cause they're both super attractive women. So what does Rose do? She shaves off her eyeing head. And then beats the out of PVZ. She's had some losses since then. But I know I'ma be in her corner till she retires. My wife. She's an active duty military SNCO who is stellar at her job. And will soon get her commission. She's a great mother that would do anything and everything for her kids. She's humble, loyal, sweet, and she's my best friend. Without her I would be nothing. If anyone deserves praise as a strong independent woman, it's her. She's my hero. Poor women left behind by their husbands that need a loan to work 2 jobs and raise 3 or more kids while keeping them away from turning into criminals. Social workers that daily handle abusive parents to protect children. Ripley. Sarah Connor. Leslie Knope. AOC. Captain Catherine Janeway. My parents wouldn't let us watch Voyager back in the day because they didn't believe a woman should be captain. Of course. That only made me want to watch it all the more, and to this day Janeway is my favorite captain. Jane Goodall. My favorite woman ever. Kim Gordon of Sonic Youth. Natalie Portman. My nana. She passed in January from COVID. One of the kindest, least judgmental people I have ever had the pleasure of knowing in my life. Especially considering her 1950s Southern Baptist raising. Well, as a New Zealander, Jacinda Ardern, our Prime Minister, is a pretty perfect example. Writer and Nobel Prize winner Toni Morrison. Lucy Lawless. Sigourney Weaver. And my high school chorus teacher. Dolores Huerta. Hedy Lamarr. Brilliant scientist. Brilliant actress. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez cause she is probably the greatest advocate for the people since Pericles. Marie Antoinette also gets a bad rap. Emma Watson. She took her money and fame and has worked as an activist since basically Potter ending, and I can say the world is a better place because of it. She could have easily let the fame go to her head, but she didn't. Ingrid Newkirk. Fundamental to the modern animal rights movement and someone very worthy of respect and commendation. She founded PETA and has saved an unimaginably massive number of lives. She's also willing to fight dirty for what's right. I may disagree on some tactical choices she has made, but the word hero easily rolls off my tongue in describing her. Go vegan. Please comment if you would like to know more about veganism or have any questions about it. Joan of Arc. Debbie Harry. Princess Leia. Elizabeth Elliot. Her husband was Jim Elliot, a missionary to an unreached people group. Long story short, in 1956 her husband and several of his friends were killed by the Auca tribe. She continued to pursue relationship with the tribe, contacting them and reaching out to them. He loved them. They were in danger of literally killing themselves off because of all the infighting. Eventually the infighting between tribes ended, and one of the men who killed her husband is good friends with their, now adult, son. Her story has always touched me because it shows the deep love and devotion another person can have for a complete stranger, let alone one who murdered their most beloved person. The whole story is really amazing. Joan of Arc. My fiance registered signee or Angela Merkel? Semicolon. Difficult question I've never thought about. Damn. You're married to Angela Merkel? Semicolon. Valentina Tereshkova. First woman in space. Named my kid after her. My mom. I also choose this guy's mom. My wife. She donated a kidney to our daughter when our child was 7, saving her life. My daughter is a healthy, happy 23-year-old young woman now. Dolly Parton. Jane Goodall. Leslie Knope. Carmen Medina is a former CIA deputy director. However, early on in her career, She caught a lot of flack for suggesting that intelligence should, be shared among allies. Not just siloed within agencies and never heard from again. The real big scare she made was when she said this could easily exist on the internet in a classified way, ensuring that enemies never saw the intel that Americans had on them. Upon surviving the heat she got for that, she continued working on it. Lo and behold, 9/11 happens. And a big reason for it is because different intelligence agencies never just put the pieces together that Al-Qaeda dudes had snuck into the country and had a plan to kill Americans. The information sharing she had been preaching all along would have saved thousands of people. Suddenly people were ready to listen to her. And modern national security hasn't been the same since. Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor. Jacinda Ardern. Holly Krieger. A mathematician who studies dynamical systems and occasionally appears on Numberphile. Hannah Fry. Mathematician. Author. Science communicator on many BBC programs. Michelle Fowler. Astronomer and science communicator at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. Poppy Northcutt. And engineer on the Apollo program. I followed her on Twitter because of that. And found someone I could look up to politically as well. Margaret Hamilton. Who coined the term as a software engineer while managing a team that wrote the software for the Apollo guidance computer. Look up the 1202 error and how she had the foresight to write a multi-threaded real-time operating system when others thought it wouldn't be necessary. Evelyn Granville. One of NASA's awesome hidden figures you didn't see in the movie. Even earlier. She worked on the Mercury missions. Those are just the ones I can mention that you'd know about and I can recall off the top of my head. Personally, I can think of one of my first bosses. Sue Lael. My old business partners Karen Gillison and Kim McCormack. And one of my former high school students Emily Haggard, who has succeeded against some challenges due to sheer intelligence and determinism. Stacey Abrams. Lisa Su. Ursula K. Le Guin. Rebecca Long Bailey. Rosa Parks. Marie Curie. Emily Wilding Davison. My mum. The Doctor. Zara Sultana. Violette Szabo and Diane Abbott are the ones that immediately come to mind. Edit. Hedy Lamarr and Ada Lovelace too for their work in technology. Stacey Abrams. This might be a controversial one at the moment, but Greta Thunberg. Regardless of what you might think of her opinions etc. What were you doing at age 15? Jacinda Ardern. Prime Minister of New Zealand. My wife. I also choose this guy's wife. Dolly Parton. Always a strong and classy icon. Wonder Woman. She'll do the things Batman and Superman won't do and she'll accept any consequences. She literally killed an evil dictator of a country because he was going to commit a giant nuclear war, and then Wonder Woman went to the trial and pled guilty. Batman and Superman would never do this type of thing because their moral code doesn't let either of them kill. WW takes the consequences of her actions with pride. I love this WW quote. We have a saying. My people. Don't I fry I can wound. Don't wound I fry I can subdue. Don't subdue I fry I can pacify. And don't raise your hand at all until I've first extended it. Harriet Tubman, Sally Ride, Ada Lovelace, Katherine Johnson, Marie Curie, Abigail Adams, Susan B. Anthony. Many more. The Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Abigail Adams. Hands down. She should be on the $10 bill. The many brave lesbians who during the Reagan administration AIDS pandemic acted as impromptu nurses and took wonderful care of the gay and bi men who fell victim to the virus because many hospitals wouldn't even let the men through their doors. Rosalind Franklin. She really was the first person to elucidate the structure of DNA before Watson and Crick. They pretty much stole her work, but they still did a lot in the understanding of bonding and such. Betty White. Fictional. But Samus Aran will always be my hero. I've spent so much time with her behind that visor that I can only have the deepest respect for her. Olga of Kiev. Harriet Tubman. RBG is the real MVP. Buffy Summers. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez never ceases to amaze me. Wangari Maathai. My first sergeant in the army. She was a tough old lady who didn't take from anyone. And God forbid US suily discriminate or harass a female soldier under her command. And she was a really good top. She always had our backs and had no problems cutting us loose at a reasonable time. Unlike a lot of other higher ups I worked for, she didn't make the entire company sit around for 2 hours before finally calling final formation and dismissing everyone. Only name that comes to my head right now is Rosa Parks. She had the courage I'll never have. My mum. She raised me right. And no matter how many ups I've had along the way, or how many times I've fallen down, she picks me up. She always makes me feel loved. And lets me know how much she cares. Not real life. But a character. Jessica Pearson. Suits. Man, the way they made that character. She inspires me in every way that's possible because it doesn't matter if you are male or a female. People walk all over you if they find a weak spot. She showed that always be confident and intimidating instead of being scared and intimidated. I guess hero might be a strong word. But honestly. P.K. The way she approaches the world. The way she stands up for herself. The way she is raising her daughter. I have always been impressed. And I have always been inspired. Rachel Carson.